Alright guys, hope you're doing well. This is Lucas and I am back to you with another video today. First of all, I don't want you to worry too much about the tattoo because it is totally temporary and I've got that for myself. Should stay about 5 or 6 days. I think it looks pretty good. You guys can let me know what you think. Anyways, today I'm here to do a little kind of different sort of videos. Buffy Season 3 episode 1 is ready to go up and I'll be watching that just after filming this video actually, so pretty excited about starting the season. However, I also learned that a really favorite show of mine is actually having a series finale next week, which is pretty rough, and although I'm happy to, it's pretty harsh to part with this show, which I'll tell you which one it is. Today I want to do a list of all the shows that I've watched, all my favorite shows, and just all the shows that in general I've seen in my days. For this list I'm only incorporating shows that I've watched entirely or at least very consistently, and not those that I just watched on Sunday afternoons, a few episodes when there was nothing better to do. I'm looking at you, Law & Order SVU. Anyways, I've made a little list and I do hope I didn't forget any shows because that would be pretty sad. Yeah. So let's get started. First of all, let's get a very obvious one out of the way, and I'm sure you guys are expecting it. Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure I could speak all night about Game of Thrones and how great it is and how everyone needs to see it. The scope of the show is just phenomenal, and it started out good as far as I'm concerned, and now the show is up in high levels of awesomeness that is just insane for a TV show. Just has so many characters, so many storylines, and so many things that you could love about Game of Thrones. I know some people prefer to Lord of the Rings. I don't understand them personally as far as I'm concerned. Being a huge Lord of the Rings fan, nothing will do it for me better than Lord of the Rings, but that's just my opinion, and I know that people value it almost as much or more than Lord of the Rings, and that says a lot about this show. A great show, definitely watch it. It's not overrated as some people will say. Of course, it's being talked about more than it needs to, but Game of Thrones is just a great TV show and there's no denying that. Second show, and we're going kind of lowbrow now, Hart of Dixie, that I've actually watched in its entirety. Not while it was airing, but about a year or two after it ended. Just not really great show altogether. Just a really simple show with a really nice vibe and good characters. Really funny as well. So really enjoyed that, and I kind of go back and revisit it sometimes. It's kind of a guilty pleasure show, kind of. I am also currently caught up on Riverdale. Watched the end of season 2. Really good show. It reminds me of another show on this list, which I'll tell you about when we get to it, but Riverdale, really good high school show, got nice mystery. Admittedly, I think the end of season 2 kind of took a dive in the wrong direction, to be honest, yeah, it can get repetitive at times, and it's only the second season, so it's not a really good sign, but hopefully they'll kind of reinvent it in a way, and it will be great. After Riverdale, let's touch on Arrow. Now I didn't watch any of the DC-verse in TV show form. I don't even know how many they are by this point, but I did watch Arrow when it first aired. I watched it for about 3 or 4 seasons, I think 4 seasons, and then I kind of stopped. It was getting way too repetitive for me. The intrigues were really just similar, and I know that Legends of Tomorrow and The Flash and all that is probably great, and maybe I'll watch it someday down the line, but for now I just am watching other shows and interested in other things, and it's just too much material to cover, so I really don't have time for it. I don't want to forget and give credit to both Malcolm in the Middle and My Wife and Kids, which are my two most kind of guilty pleasure kind of TV shows. I really loved them when they were airing, so I watched them in entirety, and I kind of watch them again when I have time and when I feel like watching something really funny. They're all two of them are really good, funny shows, so check them out. Another show that I've watched, and that one is way old, but I watched it years after it ended, and that is Lost. Was really, really young when it first came out, and I didn't watch it at all. But then after I watched it and realized how much of a great show it is, there's just too many intrigues to fill I don't know how many books. It's a really, really interesting show. It just keeps you on the edge of your seat, and just nothing else to say. Just watch it. It's a great show. You won't be disappointed about it. Another show of mine that's actually a favorite, and that is Dexter. I also watched it after it ended, unfortunately. But Dexter is absolutely a great show. A really good cop show as well. I think one of the shows that did it first. In a way, I think the intrigues are great. The tension is always there. And although the last few seasons are maybe not the best, I personally had no real problems with them. I enjoyed the show for what it was, and I think it's a really good show. You should definitely check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Let's touch on another show, and that's another favorite of mine, and that is One Tree Hill. Now, I probably pretty much grew up on One Tree Hill. I have a really special connection to that show in a way. Just because I was so young when it came out, and just grew up with the episodes, and afterwards revisit it, and now I almost watch it once every year in its entirety of 9 seasons. I'm that connected to it. I think it's my favorite high school show anyway, but I think it's one that does it really good. Just really has the drama element and everything you need out of a high school TV shows and high school TV show. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, so to speak, but if you like drama and you like high school TV shows, just watch One Tree Hill, and it's long and it's great, and it will take you all sorts of different places. And One Tree Hill is very simple and very common in its plot and its intent, but it's a show that's entirely relatable to everyone. It's a show about love, it's a show about friendship, it's a show about finding your place in the world, and you certainly see that throughout the season, and it's beautiful in my opinion. Trust me, it's a really good show. Now we're getting to the shows that I value most, and maybe some of you are already expecting it because you know I'm a fan, and I'm talking about the Vampire Diaries. Now pretty much the same thing in One Tree Hill, but I think that the Vampire Diaries, in my eyes, is the show that really got me interested in TV shows. I know some people will view it as same teen drama, but it just has great storylines everywhere. It has great romance, great intrigues, really good kind of supernatural elements incorporated into the stories across the seasons. I just grew up on the Vampire Diaries, what can I say? For me at the time, it was the best TV show ever made. Now, taking a step back, I may want to take that back, but you know, I still think it's one of my all-time favorites anyways. And connected to it is the originals. Now the originals aired after season 4 of the Vampire Diaries, and I've been watching it ever since. One with the other, obviously Vampire Diaries is already done, but the originals is ending next week. Season 5, episode 13 will be the last episode, and I'm pretty heartbroken to get to it. The originals was great because it really expanded the universe of the Vampire Diaries, and they were not really closely connected, but there was really that element of connection between the two shows, and that was great for me. That was such a fan of the Vampire Diaries. Another show in the Vampire Diaries universe, however, that is coming up is Legacy, or Legacies, I guess, which is tied to the Vampire Diaries and most of all the originals. It's coming out in the fall, and I will be watching that as well. Slightly concerned that it may take the Vampire Diaries universe in places that are not really where we want to go with the show. I expect it to be a kind of teen drama and school related, and we'll find out how it is. My mind is open, and if anything, I'm glad that the Vampire Diaries universe is not dying, so yeah. Another show that I've watched is the show Hannibal. Now Hannibal is honestly one of the most kind of mature content on this list of TV shows. I don't think you should watch that unless you're over like 17. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It's really gory. It really has some creepy stuff associated to it. That said, it's one, if not the most artsy kind of TV show that I've ever seen in my life. The imagery is greedy and disgusting, but at the same time is genius. You kind of have to see it to kind of understand it, I guess. It's a really weird TV show, but it's really genius in its dialogue and its execution, and Hannibal's character and the acting from about everyone in the show really has its amount of great things to say about it. And it may not be everyone's cup of tea, because it is that violent and it is that bloody and it's really gory. But it's a really great investigation TV series which incorporates the character of Hannibal, which is brilliant and has some really psychological kind of twists and turns to it. Really check that out if you're interested in kind of more kind of grown-up TV shows. It's not truly a horror TV show, although, you know, it's the imagery is really mature at times. But yeah. We're getting to the last show. Wow, this went a lot faster than what I expected, actually. So let's talk about Vikings. Now, Vikings was something that I put off on watching just because I saw it on the History Channel, and I kind of doubted how good it could be if it was airing on the History Channel. But after I watched the first episode, I got caught up in about 2 weeks or so. I watched 5 seasons straight. This is probably one of the emerging greatest shows that I've seen. People compare it to Game of Thrones, and I did as well, but this is completely misplaced. Vikings is absolutely great. It has so many awesome characters that you'll get attached to. Like Game of Thrones, there are a lot of diverging storylines, although I feel it is more kind of centered, to be honest. The action is great, the acting is great. I was interested in Norse mythology, and I've read some of the Nordic and Icelandic sagas, and this show captures perfectly what they are, is a completely like complicated family ties and family descendants and their relations with one another, the conflicts that arise in this world. It also tells about the first Vikings travel to England and the first raiding. And granted, maybe the first and second season of the show were more on the low budget kind of show. By now we're actually on season 5, in the middle of season 5, and I'm waiting for it to come back, and the show is an incredible production value. It's just amazing costume, amazing battles, and everything is just awesome to witness. And I strongly encourage you to watch this show that's kind of underrated in my opinion. Game of Thrones does it the best, Vikings does it really great, trust me. Now we're actually done, and the only TV show that I think I may have to add to this one is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And as you know, we're working on that. Finished with season 2. I hope you enjoyed the review and predictions, and I hope you enjoyed this this little video. I just thought of doing something really different, and since the originals is ending next week, I feel it was sort of justified. As sad as I am to see the originals go, I can't wait to see how it ends and where we're gonna take our characters in this final episode. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be really emotional. But yeah, let me know what you think about those shows. Which shows have you seen? Which shows have you not seen? Which shows do you recommend for me to watch? Which ones am I missing out on? Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting my channel. Watch out for the Buffy reaction. Keep liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.